Bulletcast for life.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon, and on today's episode, we will be going over my thoughts on TLC, my thoughts on the card for Wrestle Kingdom 13, and we will recap the two NXT shows that have happened since the last time I've been on this show. I took last week off. The Bulletcast, we've been kind of all over the place with our schedule, so it's kind of hard for me. I don't know when to really fit in the Under the Radar shows. School's coming to an end, finals week. I have my last set of tests tomorrow, so after tomorrow, after this week, should be smooth sailing. I have really nothing else I really got to do except for, Christmas and holiday stuff. So from at least now to the end of January, it should be set in stone every Tuesday, or at least every once a week, depending on when Philip has his wrestling stuff. Under the Radar will come every single week. So we will first go over my thoughts on TLC. I was there in person as well as Philip. I did not see Philip. I showed up a little bit late, I'll be honest. I showed up maybe 45 minutes into the actual TLC show. So we got there about 3:30 local time. The show starts at 4, and we found out that the parking lot, the normal parking lot to the SAP Center was full. And then we were like, okay, we're just going to go to the other parking lot, but then that one was blocked off, and then we tried to go to another one, but that was blocked off, so then we had to go to one that's down the street. So the next thing you know, we park, and it's already 4:15, and by the time we get to the arena, it's already 4:30. So I missed the entire pre-show, and then I missed the Mixed Match Challenge match and the Tag Team match. I was in the arena by the time the Tag Team match happened, but I didn't exactly see it. So I can't really talk about my thoughts on that. I did watch those two matches that I missed to begin with the Mixed Match Challenge and the Tag Team match. Not a whole lot to say here. It's pretty self-explanatory. I kind of knew Carmella and R-Truth are going to win, and now that they are going to be going on their all-expenses-paid trip to Stamford, Connecticut in the WWE headquarters, I hope that they get some sort of skits out of this, because I think they could have a lot of fun with that. And with the tag team match, I thought maybe the Usos would win since it's the Bay Area. The Link, they did talk about that a little bit on the broadcast, but they didn't go with them, which I understand. I mean, all these teams basically have 5 title reigns between them, so I'm not the biggest fan of them jumping back and forth. To be honest, if you want to build up the Raw tag team division, I would say maybe the Usos would be the best team to go over on Raw, just because I think the bar was just over there. And I think the Usos are the best team to be a nice lead babyface, serious team going against the Revival or Authors of Pain. So maybe they're keeping them off, the Usos, because maybe they're thinking about going over to Raw. Don't know exactly when the Superstar shakeup would be. If there is one, we can talk about the shaking things up that has happened on Raw, and probably is going to happen on SmackDown coming up in the next few days when the regular Bulletcast episode comes around. But I'll save that for later. So then Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin. This is right when I sat down, and I thought maybe Braun Strowman would be healthy enough just to get through a quick little squash match, which he didn't, but I felt like they did get, they were smart about it. Since it's no disqualifications, and then they had all the wrestlers attack Baron Corbin, basically burying him just on the way out, but he was on Raw the next day, so it looks like he's still going to be on the show for the foreseeable future. And they already cashed in the thing with Heath Slater. I don't know if I don't think this was the plan all along. Maybe they were just waiting to see what was going to happen with Braun Strowman, or now the ratings are so terrible that they decided to just scrap everything and go in a totally new direction. But the Heath Slater, him turning on Baron Corbin so soon, it worked. The crowd did pop for it, but I felt like maybe you could have held off on that. But the Baron Corbin experiment was not really working at all, so I think it made sense just for them to scrap the entire thing. And Braun Strowman winning, now he's going to face Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble. I don't think he's going to win. I feel like they are setting up Seth to face Brock at WrestleMania. So I assume that Seth Rollins is going to win the Royal Rumble, go on to face Brock Lesnar, and that's when he'll win. So I don't know exactly what the finish is going to be. Like, do you just have Brock go over strong? Do you have some sort of disputed finish? Do you do a DQ? Not exactly sure what you do. Brock is already so damaged right now because of all the stuff they talked about with him not wanting to be there. But we got a month away. Paul Heyman came out on Raw. I did not see the spoilers for anything on Raw, so I don't exactly know what he said, but I assume it's him building up with him and Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was not on last week's or this week's Raw, so I assume next week he'll probably come out and do some sort of face-to-face with Paul Heyman. So, next up we have Natalya and Ruby Riott in a tables match. This match was fine. It was kind of maybe a little bit slow-paced. Liv Morgan taking a hell of a bump. God, I hope Liv is okay. She was on Raw the next day, so I assume she was fine. I felt like this was kind of the thread throughout. This match was 13 minutes. It could have been 8 minutes. You could have cut out 5 minutes of filler. The match would have been just fine. And with Natalya bringing out the table with Ruby Riott's face on it, Ruby Riott's whole body on it, I felt like they were trying to get a bigger pop than what actually did. I felt like it kind of fell flat on that. And they did the right thing. Natalya went over pretty strong for the most part, and Ruby Riott loses, as she should, because of all the terrible things she said about her family, about Natalya's family. Happy they did that. Once again, match went too long. Could have cut 5 minutes out of that, and it probably would have been a whole lot better. So then we have Drew McIntyre and Finn Balor. They go 12 minutes. Once again, another fine match. This match could have been on Raw, could have been a Raw main event. Just the show itself was too long, and this is coming from someone who showed up like 45 minutes late. I felt like the show was too long. This match was good, back and forth, with Dolph Ziggler coming out. I don't exactly know where they're going with this, because Dolph turned babyface, but then he turned heel, but then now he's helping out the babyface. But then in the backstage segment, when he talked to Finn, he sounded like an asshole. So then I guess he's a heel. So this is going to set up a triple threat match, I assume, at maybe a Royal. I don't think they're going to wait that long to all the way to a Royal Rumble, but you never know. It's probably going to be on like a Raw or something in the next few weeks. But once again, I mean, not a whole lot to say here. It was just a good, solid match. Not a whole lot of heat behind this. I don't know if it was because maybe we saw Finn already. Finn was over with the entrance. Everyone was flailing their arms in the air, so that was a nice visual. But I mean, this just fine match. Could have done without it. Could have been on Raw. Could have had a nice, solid 3-hour show, and it probably would have helped out some of the other matches. This match, Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio, it was fine. It was a chairs match, so just a lot of chair shots to the back. I thought the baseball slide with the chair was a good spot from Rey. And they go back and forth. Not a whole lot of like believable near falls in this. It was, once again, you could have seen this match on SmackDown. It was fine for what it was. You could have taken this match out completely, to be honest. Like, if you told me what this match was going to be, it pretty much was exactly what I thought. You know, just a lot of walking, chair shots, teases of an RKO on a chair somehow, and then Rey Mysterio does something crazy with the chair, and it wasn't exactly crazy. His little, sled slide with the chair, but it was a nice little visual, and Rey Mysterio gets the victory with the roll up. So good. I mean, I picked Rey just because I think building Rey up strong to possibly face Daniel Bryan down the line. Maybe if that's not, I don't think that's going to be the match between Daniel Bryan and whoever it is at WrestleMania. But I think I believe there's like 2 pay-per-views in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, so you can get, if you do AJ Styles again, you can get a nice little, early or late winter, early spring feud between Daniel Bryan and Rey Mysterio leading up to WrestleMania. I think that could be a whole lot of fun. So then next up we have the Finn Balor segment with Dolph Ziggler. Yeah. And then, now we're starting to get to the good stuff here. The stuff that should have been on the show the entire time. Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax. Ronda Rousey wins in 11 minutes. I thought this match was fantastic. Probably, maybe the best singles match for either one of them in their career. To be honest, I thought it was really good. Ronda Rousey pulling out all the stops with some nice, transitions, some nice moves. She was doing like step-up knees to Nia Jax. Nia Jax was a good base for her, just doing all these different things. And I thought Nia Jax was working well. She didn't have as much heat. See, this is the thing, is like I went to Survivor Series, and then TLC was the next show after. I saw, them. I kind of saw the progression. Nia Jax was just so over as a heel. Everyone hated her, was just booing her out of the building. And they come back. It's kind of the same thing with Becky Lynch. She comes to this show. I mean, people were booing her, but it just wasn't as strong as what it was at Survivor Series. But still, Ronda was sort of over. She didn't get like a mega superstar pop like you would have thought she would have. But it was still, people were cheering Ronda. Some people were booing Ronda, to be honest. Like, there was some people in my right in front of me that were cheering for Nia Jax, but I don't know if it's because they genuinely hated Ronda Rousey or just they like Nia Jax more for whatever reason. Maybe they watch Total Divas and they see that she's a nice, lovely woman. But in the end, Ronda Rousey, blocks everything that Nia Jax gives to her. She puts her in a kind of weird looking armbar. Not exactly. It didn't even, because like if you actually looked at Ronda or at Nia's arm, all she did was like kind of just like, it basically just looked like she was trying to scratch her back. So if you just like go to try to scratch the the middle of your back, that's basically what it looked like. So that doesn't really, I mean, obviously if you like yank it all the way back it hurts, but it didn't exactly look like Ronda was yanking Nia's arm that far back. So I like this match a lot. One of the better matches of the show. I think it goes TLC, AJ Daniel, then this match. I think this was the third best match on the show. But I think those other two matches that we're going to talk about, including this one, the Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles match, I thought it was very, very well done. Daniel Bryan retains in 24 minutes, a fantastic match between these two. I was still a little disappointed with this match, to be honest, just because I have such high expectations. And the master of the small package returns. I really hope that Daniel Bryan brings that up on SmackDown today. Daniel Bryan wins with the small package, and I thought this was really good. I felt like the finishing sequence just didn't live up to what I think they could get, so they still have a little bit extra left in their back pocket for maybe a Royal Rumble match or a main event match on SmackDown whenever they want it. We have the New Year's SmackDown next week, whatever they want to, if they want to do like a proper blow off, but I don't exactly know where you go from here. It was a pretty clean win from Daniel Bryan. Yes, AJ kind of got distracted with the ref by almost running into him, but Daniel Bryan didn't kick him in the dick, didn't use any underhanded tactics, just a clean, straight-up match. I thought the calf crusher at the very end, I thought that was just awesome selling from Daniel Bryan. Daniel was just there in the middle of the ring. I honestly thought for 5-10 seconds that maybe he's going to tap out and AJ's going to win this, but then Daniel's able to roll over to the ropes and break it up, and then that's when they kind of go to the finishing sequence. AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm. Bryan ducks it. He runs it to the ref, and then they go back and forth. AJ rolls him up, but then Daniel Bryan rolls him up, and he wins with a small package for the victory. Very, very good match. And this was a very good match, and yet I was still disappointed with it. That's just how great these two guys are, and I know how great their match could be. And Daniel Bryan gets the victory, so moving on into 2019, Daniel Bryan assumed to be the champion. And then next up we have Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, the IC title. Ambrose wins in 25 minutes, and this I think we all kind of know about this match. I've listened to Philip talk about it on his instant analysis, and he kind of defended the match. I think he said that he liked it, but I'll be honest, I didn't like this match all that much. I agreed with the fans, like, yeah, it was boring. 25 minutes, this match did not have to go that long. I mean, the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match just went that long, and that match deserved to go that long, and I think they filled the time a whole lot better than they did. I think the Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins, I think they just felt like they were over more than they thought they were. I said this in the past on other podcasts, like, this feud just isn't living up to what it could be, and I felt like I wasn't really invested as much as I think I should be with this match. I think it's a little bit, I think it falls more on the Dean Ambrose character. I just don't think Dean Ambrose as a heel has really clicked as much as I feel like he should be. He's kind of just a kooky, not as kooky as his babyface character was, but he's kind of walking up to that line. And I think that just kind of, all the fruits of their labor just kind of came to fruition here during this match, where the crowd just was not into it from the start. They loved chanting "Burn It Down" there with Seth. And then they start off kind of slow. But you would think with this feud, Seth would just go right after Dean Ambrose and just take it to him. And if this match was, 15 minutes, fast paced with a little bit of selling, some lulls in there, kind of take us on a roller coaster up and down, 15 minutes, hard hitting, I think this match would have been so much better. But they had that extra 10 minutes. They were trying to milk it a lot more, like just sitting there and selling and just hoping the crowd was going to get behind them. And they kind of did a little bit at the end, but I think the crowd was already super tired. I think by that point the show's going on for 4 hours if you count the pre-show, and they still have the TLC match to go, and the fans definitely were looking forward to that match a lot more than they were looking forward to this match. So I think they were just kind of, let's get on with it. We know we like these two, but we want to see the TLC match. There was Becky chance during this, and Seth Rollins alluded to his poor performance on his promo on Raw. So I think they're kind of going to acknowledge this and kind of maybe take him down a little bit before building him back up. But just a disappointing match between these two guys. I don't know exactly who to blame. Is it Seth? Is it Dean? Is it the booking? Who exactly knows? But not a good, I don't know if I'd say first step, but not a good step in the direction of Seth Rollins being the top guy and winning that championship at WrestleMania. He took a step back, but I think he's going to rebuild and hopefully, look at himself in the mirror and realize that maybe all the things that he wants to do, trying to get all the spots in, trying to have an epic match when it doesn't really call for it. Maybe that's when he should just not go with a spot fest, but take it back and try to do more with less, if you know what I'm saying. So, next out, we had the main event, and probably the best match of the show. We had the TLC triple threat, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Asuka. And Becky Lynch does not retain the championship like I thought she would. Asuka ends up winning in another 25-minute match. I thought this match was fantastic. Wouldn't say it was a spot fest, but it definitely was built around the big spots, the big, Charlotte going through the table from Asuka, Becky Lynch dropping her ass on Charlotte's stomach, even though I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be a leg drop. But oh god, that looked terrible. I was sitting right behind sitting right in front of the hard cam, so I was like right behind the whatever you call it, like the they just have a whole bunch of broadcasting equipment and televisions everywhere. So I was kind of like right at the right spot where I can see like everything with Charlotte and Becky just falling on her, and I can see the replays up close, and it looked terrible. She fell right on Charlotte's stomach, and I pray for Charlotte. Hopefully she doesn't have a bruised rib or a cracked rib or anything. Hopefully she's fine. I think she was on the house shows on Monday, so good to see that Charlotte is perfectly fine. It seems like all these women are okay. And he had the spear, he had the kendo stick shots. It was actually kind of funny because we were sitting right where like all the people kind of come out from backstage, and this guy comes out, I think during the Dana Bryan AJ match or kind of somewhere in the middle of the show. He comes out and he just is holding a stack, like six or eight kendo sticks, just kind of wrapped up and kind of all put in a little bundle. So he's the reason. He's that guy that I said he's been like training for whatever kendo sticks are used for. He's doing some sort of martial arts, so maybe he was bringing them out, and he put them underneath the ring because they were going to practice later once the arena cleared out. But of course Charlotte used it, and they set up the kind of dual ladders where they go Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Kind of was obvious that something was going to happen because they were nowhere near the championship, but I didn't really expect Ronda Rousey to come out, dumped them both. Asuka climbs up the ladder and wins. So this sets up the triple threat match between Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. How do you get there? I don't know. I was thinking Charlotte was going to win the championship. Becky could go win the Royal Rumble and say, screw you, I want to challenge both of y'all. And then that's how you get there. But now with Ronda's the champion, how do you get two SmackDown women to face her? Unless if Ronda just runs through the entire women's division and she just says, I want both of you. I mean, I don't know how you get there. We got 3-4 months to go. Long time Asuka champion, first time ever winning a WWE championship for Asuka. Nice to see that in person. And yes, it kind of hurts her, it diminishes her a little bit because she won with some help to Ronda Rousey. She didn't exactly, go over super clean, but I think people are going to look past that. And Asuka's Asuka. Once she gets into the swing of things and she has good matches with other people, I think it's going to be fun. Where do you go from here? Do you go Asuka Becky? Do you go another triple threat match? Who knows? I mean, Royal Rumble's like what, a month and a week away, or 5-6 weeks away. So they have a bit of time to build up to Royal Rumble, but you don't need every single title match on Royal Rumble. So you can have these like title matches happen on a SmackDown, 2 or 3 weeks before Royal Rumble to kind of pop a rating. So good show overall. I mean, I don't know if I'd say a good show. I think it was fine for what it was. I think those 3 top matches that I talked about they really delivered. And overall, 1 to 10 score. Live experience, I'd say like a 7, maybe like I'd say a soft 7. I'm going with those hard and soft numbers. So I go with the soft 7. I thought it was fun. I think I had a little bit more fun at Survivor Series, just because I didn't really know some of the finishes. I thought I had a whole bunch of fun at that Daniel Bryan Brock Lesnar match at Survivor Series. I wouldn't say I got like super invested in the other matches on this show, but I think just kind of sitting there live, I wasn't really cheering for anybody, just kind of taking in the environment, just kind of listening to the fans, and honestly just kind of looking at the backstage aspect of it with all the cameras. And because it was kind of cool, because there was some parts like when the Baron Corbin stuff happened, they had Kurt Angle's Tron queued up on the all the different camera angle television they had, so I knew Kurt Angle was going to come out. And then like before the AJ Styles promo backstage happened, they kind of had AJ and Kayla. I think Kayla was with her or with them. So they had that on the screen before it actually popped up, and then right after AJ comes out, they still had the camera shot backstage, so you can kind of see like gorilla position a little bit. It wasn't like exactly clear because the camera guy just kind of put the thing on the ground, but you can kind of see the curtain and kind of see people's feet walk around, just kind of see a glimpse backstage of stuff you never really see before. So that was kind of another cool aspect of the show. Just I like sitting in different places. I've sat on the floor, sat camera side, sat opposite camera side. It's just kind of switching things up a little bit. So that'll do it for TLC. Fine show. Maybe talk a little bit more in depth with Philip on the Bullet Cast. So now we're going to switch over to New Japan. We haven't really talked about New Japan on this show a little bit. I've been slipping. Yes, we had the Tag League tournament that just concluded, but they have released the entire lineup for Wrestle Kingdom 13, January 4th, 2019. So we're just going to go over all that very quickly. A stacked card, should be a whole bunch of fun. Gonna watch it live. I think it's Friday night, or Thursday night to Friday morning. It's going to be a fun time. So we have the pre-show. It's going to be a gauntlet match to determine the number one contenders for the Never Openweight 6-man titles. They have announced all the names. If you want, you can go look that up, but not exactly, not a big thing on that. But now we got this is when, like, all these matches from now on, they can all be show stealers and just be amazing. So we have Kota Ibushi against Will Ospreay for the Never Openweight title. God, that is going to be fantastic. If Will Ospreay is healthy, if Kota Ibushi's healthy, even if they're not healthy, if they're both at like 80%, this match can be phenomenal. It all depends on what the time is. Is it just going to be a crazy spot fest? It probably will be, and it'll be fun for what it is. So then we have the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles. We have Kanemaru and El Desperado going up against Roppongi 3K and Bushi and Shingo for the junior title. So triple threat tag team match. We kind of have this triple threat tag team junior match every single year for like the past, 3-4 years. I mean, ever since I've been watching Wrestle Kingdom, it feels like every single junior tag match is like a triple threat or some sort of multi-team match. Once again, should be fun. And then we have Tomohiro Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the British Heavyweight Championship. That should be a whole lot of fun. Hard-hitting Zack Sabre Jr. I mean, his stock has risen exponentially in 2018 with all the different, beating Okada and just the role he's been on, especially winning the New Japan Cup early in the year. So that should be a good match. And then next up we have the triple threat of the heavyweight tag team match. The Guerrillas of Destiny, the Young Bucks, Evil and Sonata. And Evil and Sonata win the tag league, and then the Young Bucks just kind of come out and say, we're the best and you guys should face us. So now it's a triple threat match. This probably, who knows what the exact relationship will be with the Elite and New Japan, but this seems as though it might be the last time the Young Bucks wrestle for New Japan. Might be emotional, might be a fun sight to see. They might try to pull out all the stops. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Another member of the Elite, we have Cody, the IWGP United States Champion, taking on Juice Robinson. And this match, I don't have high expectations for it. Cody kind of nursing that knee injury, so who knows how hard he's really going to go. Juice is Juice. I believe Juice is going to win, take the U.S. title off of Cody, and then Cody, Young Bucks, the Elite just go on to whatever they do. So, once again, another good match would happen there. And then we have the IWGP Junior Title Championship with Kushida going up against Taiji Ishimori. Once again, that match should be fantastic. It is given the time. And we have a singles feud between Kazuchika Okada and Jay White. And this match should be great. Heated blood feud with Gedo jumping ship going over to Jay White. Jay White is laying out Okada. It's just kind of been a thorn in his side ever since the G1. And now it's coming ahead to Wrestle Kingdom, and we kind of thought maybe there's going to be someone left out with these matches, but no, all the big names you would think of kind of have their spot. Okada and Jay White. Jay White definitely one of the rising stars of 2018 now that he is the official leader of the Bullet Club. Going to see where he goes from here. I would not be surprised if Jay White is honestly the IWGP champion by the end of the year. Maybe going up against, maybe we have another rematch if we have Okada and Jay White at the Dome next year. Who knows where Jay White will be by the end of 2019. So Chris Jericho and Tetsuya Naito will face off again for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And Chris Jericho, the champion, I believe this is like his first title defense since winning it in June. And so he's going up against Naito. I don't exactly know who's going to win. I would assume Naito's just going to get the title back. I don't really know exactly how much more Jericho is going to do in New Japan. Maybe it'll be kind of a shock and Jericho pulls out the victory and he goes on and faces Okada and he faces other big name guys. I mean, Jericho versus Okada, Jericho versus Tanahashi, those matches would be a bunch of fun, but who knows exactly how long Jericho is destined to be in New Japan. So we have the main event, Kenny Omega, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, going up against Hiroshi Tanahashi, the man who won the G1 Climax tournament. And this one's interesting. I talked about the Elite. Is Kenny Omega staying? Is he going? Is it as simple as if he wins, he stays? If he doesn't, he leaves? Who exactly knows? This match should be fantastic. Hiroshi Tanahashi, that old horse going for it one more time, trying to get to the top of the mountain. Should be a fantastic story, and I'm excited to see this match. Just another stacked Wrestle Kingdom 13 card, and once again, maybe the best show of the year will be the first show of the year. So let's move on to NXT, and we will go over the last two shows of NXT since the last time I've talked to you lovely folks. And this one took place December 5th, and we started off with Matt Riddle going up against Punishment Martinez. Punishment Martinez debuting in NXT after some time in ROH, and Matt Riddle goes over pretty fast, 3 minutes. I thought this was fine. It made a whole lot of sense. Punishment Martinez kind of on the Donovan Dijak trajectory more than the Matt Riddle trajectory. He comes in, loses. I think he's gonna go back to the PC, kind of get some, I'd say, seasoning or some extra training, just kind of working his gimmick and just kind of getting in the right spot. But Matt Riddle, he's on the way up. I think Punishment Martinez can be a big deal going forward, but I just don't think right now he's not going to be a big time player. Maybe once this current crop of talent leaves, he can come in, he can be he can be a big heel. In terms of other people on the roster, he's definitely bigger than a lot of the other guys, so he can be a nice heel foil for whoever comes in, Trevor Lee or not Walter, but whoever the next big signings are going to be, the next wave of NXT talent. Punishment Martinez can be a nice heel for them. And then we have some package on Heavy Machinery. So Heavy Machinery, we all know what's going to happen with them. We talk about that on the Bulletcast, but we have Raul Mendoza and Humberto Carrillo going up against the Forgotten Sons, which was Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake with Jackson Riker. And the Forgotten Sons wins in 5 minutes. Carrillo and Mendoza kind of showed some nice fire from them, promising tag team. They've kind of been jobbers recently, but I think they're kind of getting over with the crowd with their athletic style. The Forgotten Sons haven't really done anything for me personally. They haven't been in like a solid storyline. They haven't really cut any inspired promos for me, so I don't exactly know what the end game for the Forgotten Sons are. Are they just going to be lifelong people in NXT? Who exactly knows? But I think, to be honest, if I would have much rather seen Mendoza and Carrillo win over the Forgotten Sons, because I just feel like they have a little more promise than they do. So, man. The Undisputed Era cut a promo backstage in, I guess, like a U-Haul truck, and they're just kind of talking about the promo that EC3 cut in San Jose, where he kind of talked about that he's going to come for Bobby Fish, and they just, simple stuff, they say that they're going to, beat up EC3 and all that other stuff. And then Kyle O'Reilly mentioned Heavy Machinery, because Heavy Machinery talked about wanting to be tag team champions, and they said that they have not faced anybody like Undisputed Era. So they gave a medical update on Hansen. They said that he has broken ribs, a ruptured spleen, and torn ligaments after the TakeOver War Games match. So hopefully Hansen gets well soon. Haven't really heard anything on his condition recently, so maybe no news is good news. Dakota Kai goes up against the NXT Women's Champion, Shayna Baszler, and Shayna Baszler does not win. Dakota Kai wins in 6 minutes. Oh, never mind. I was about to say, I thought Shayna Baszler won, but there was a typo in the report. It says Dakota Kai in 6 minutes, but I did not think that was the case. Shayna Baszler won in 6 minutes, as she should. Okay, that made a whole lot of sense. And it seems as though Dakota Kai got hurt on a house show last week, I believe, in Green Bay or something. So, don't know her condition. Hopefully it's nothing too major. It seems as though she was kind of walking around on crutches. So hopefully Dakota Kai gets better. And they're still kind of setting up this 6-woman tag between the three of the 4 horsewomen, with Kairi Sane, Io Shirai, and Dakota Kai. So post-match, the horsewomen deliver a beating on Kai, and that's when Io Shirai comes in and makes a save. And then, they just kind of, that's what happened. They do a vignette for Dijakovic. I don't know exactly what's going on. They hype up in NXT. Tommaso Ciampa comes out and he cuts his in-ring promo, and then that's when Aleister Black comes out and Johnny Gargano come out. They kind of go back and forth. Tommaso Ciampa is blabbering on about, how he's the best. Then Aleister Black says that he wants his rematch. But then Johnny Gargano says that him and Aleister aren't finished yet. And then Tommaso Ciampa, stirring the pot, says that they need to finish this and they need to do it inside a steel cage. And then Aleister tries to kick Ciampa, or tries to kick Gargano. Gargano ducks, but then Aleister kicks Ciampa. Down he goes, and that is the end of the show. I thought this was a really good show. They're taking the first steps to building up NXT TakeOver Phoenix Royal Rumble weekend, so this is going to be fun. Black versus Gargano in a steel cage, I believe, is coming up next week. It's a big show, or I guess this week now. A big show this week. We're going to get into all of the happenings that will be going on next week. I get confused. This week, next week, who really knows? But then this is the NXT show from last week. We start off with that EC3 and Bobby Fish match, and EC3 wins in 5 minutes and 33 seconds. Good match between these two. The story of the match was kind of both guys going after the knees of each other, because Bobby Fish has the torn knee that happened, but then EC3 had the knee that Bobby Fish attacked with the chair, so EC3 was still kind of taped up that knee, so he was still selling it. And then EC3 goes up and gets the victory, so I think that's a good sign. I think obviously Bobby Fish at the moment is probably the weakest out of the 4, just because he's not a champion, or he's not even in the championship conversation since Roderick and Kyle O'Reilly are the champions. It doesn't seem as though they're going to freebird it. And Adam Cole. He's the top guy. We all know that. So then post-match, Undisputed are jumping EC3, but then Heavy Machinery comes out and makes the save. So that kind of setting up an unlikely tag team there. They go earlier today with a backstage talk with Dakota Kai, Io Shirai, and they're just kind of going back and forth talking about how they want to face Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke after they interfered. And they challenged them to a tag team match. So that sets up the tag team match. I believe that's going to happen this week. The Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir making their NXT debut against Dakota Kai and Io Shirai. They talk up a recap of the Mighty losing to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, and then they said that they have a rematch. So we have Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch going up against the Mighty, and the Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch win in 5 minutes. I think it's good to see that Lorcan and Burch get the victory clean now that we've heard that Nick Miller, I believe, has been released from NXT, so I think that's kind of the reason why they just went over so clean. Don't exactly know what happened with the Mighty. They were over as baby faces, then one of them gets hurt, I believe, and then they come back a year later, and they come back, they get a little bit of a reaction, and they turn heel to maybe spice things up, but it just has not worked out. So with Miller, I think he just had a child, and so he's just wanted to stay there in Australia. Nothing, no bad blood, just kind of gonna both people going on their separate ways. What does this happen with Shane Thorne? Is he just going to get released? Is he going to do something on the NXT roster? Probably not. Put him in 205 Live, maybe. Who exactly knows what they're going to do? But Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, good babyface tag team to go up against Undisputed Era if they are still the tag team champions. So they do a recap of the angle that happened last week with the 3 guys. And then we have another Dijakovic vignette, and he is going to be coming out next week. So this week, this NXT that is going to happen on Wednesday, a very, very big show. So the 3 horsewomen were interviewed backstage. Baszler says that it doesn't matter who the number 1 contender is, she will take home the title, and the opponent, will take home a hospital bill. Duke and Shafir just laughed at the challenge that Kai and Shirai laid down. And William Regal tweeted that Lacey Evans has earned a spot at a house show to get into the Fatal 4-Way match. And then, so now it's Lacey Evans and, oh my god, I am completely blanking on her name. She is undefeated, and her name is Bianca Belair. So then we had another qualifying match for the Fatal 4-Way number 1 contendership match. We have Mia Yim and Rena Gonzalez. Rena Gonzalez, a big, I think she's Mexican. Well, she's from like Texas, so kind of the Eddie Guerrero type. And she was, she's a big, tall woman, 6 foot. She's in like chap. She's kind of like a cowgirl type gimmick. And then Mia Yim comes out. Mia Yim gets the victory in 3 minutes 30 seconds. Mia Yim just kind of goes over. She was selling, but then she ends up getting the victory. I think Gonzalez, she's interesting. She can be something down the line. Who knows? She still looked kind of green, but I think Ian definitely getting the victory here makes a whole lot of sense. And now, who's gonna move on? Who's gonna be that 4th person in the Fatal 4-Way match? And then they cut a promo. I forgot they had 2 different promos. One from Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano was back, not in the parking lot, kind of the same area where Aleister Black got laid out. He just kind of talked about a promo, him not explaining his heel turn, but just kind of going over what's the history between him and Aleister Black. Good, solid promo from him. And then Aleister Black is here in a smoke-filled room, just kind of talking, going over that he's going to destroy Gargano and he's going to fade to black after he, black masked him, and he showed him mercy in that first match, and now he's going to, kick his head off. So it was fine. Maybe just the smoke and everything was kind of cheesy. Maybe just kind of having him in a dark room with a light on him would have been fine. Or even just like a regular backstage interview. I know you're kind of trying to keep his mystique alive and him being like the crazy vampire rocker guy, but do you really need all that? Not really. But so then that's when they officially announced that Duke and Shafir will take on Io Shirai and Dakota Kai. And then we have the main event. We have Ricochet going up against Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze is the mystery opponent for Ricochet, and this is for the NXT North American Championship. Unfortunately, this did get spoiled for me a few weeks ago when the tapings did take place. It was kind of hard to to miss it. Just everybody was talking about Tyler Breeze coming back to NXT. And Ricochet ends up winning in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. So sub 10-minute match, but still a very, very good match. Ricochet, I mean, people forget how good Tyler Breeze was in NXT. He had matches with, all the top guys at that time, and he shined here. He had another match with Dean Ambrose this week, kind of the same vein of him coming out and answering the open challenge. Just really good match between these two guys. Ricochet goes over clean as he should, and I just thought, I wish that they did this a lot more, where they bring in not people from the past, but you just kind of bring in main roster people who aren't doing anything. You can bring in a Ty Dillinger. You don't want to downgrade NXT too much to where you bring in Mike Kanellis and he's hanging with Ricochet or Adam Cole or top guys in NXT, so you kind of got to find that balance. So you can tell the story of Tyler Breeze. Fandango's hurt, so he kind of lost his way. He doesn't know where to go, so he's going back to where he belongs at NXT. He's trying to work his way up, and then he ends up facing Ricochet in this match. But then you're kind of blowing the surprise if Tyler Breeze is there for a few weeks and trying to build up his confidence. So I'm not a booker. I'm just out here throwing out ideas, but I think it's always kind of fun when you bring those kind of guys back, and I wish NXT would do this more often. I mean, if Dolph Ziggler were to come in and he just have a nice program with Ricochet or some other babyface on the roster, I think that'd be a whole lot of fun. So I would I'd like to see some more cohesion and some blending. I know Triple H kind of wants to keep NXT its own separate thing, but I think kind of blending and kind of getting some more WWE people who aren't really doing anything at the moment, just kind of bringing them in, kind of freshening things up, and it's kind of like a break for them. You bring them in for an NXT taping, you put them on 2 or 3 episodes, you take them off of WWE television for a month. Maybe they just do house shows, but you don't have them do TV or whatever. You can kind of make it to where they're still on TV, they're getting exposure, they're still getting work in, but yet they're not going balls to the wall for 3-4 days in a row every single week. So that's just me. The show was fine, just kind of good action. They're setting up a really big match, a really big show next week, which is this week. So next week on Under the Radar, it's going to be a very, very important episode of NXT. So when it comes down to the people who apparently are getting called up to WWE, I'm not going to talk about it on this show. I think if you kind of heard about me in the past and kind of talk about some of the people that I would like to see in WWE from NXT, to be honest, those people would not have been my first 10 or even maybe 20 picks. But we could talk about that in depth on the Bullet Cast. So thank you guys very much for listening. Remember to listen to the Bullet Cast. We will be doing it on Thursday. Email under the radar UTR mailbag at gmail.com. I have not checked the mailbag yet. That one's on me, but I'm just going to take a wild guess and say there is no emails in the mailbag this week, because there never are any emails in the mailbag. It is loading and it is empty. So another week of no emails. So if you want to email me anything, we'll answer it on the episode. So that'll do it for me for today. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye and good night. Bye.